how did the hybridization begin? You can look at art from Assyria, Iraq, Mesopotamia, and different regions that are considered the birth of civilization. The famous ones, the kings of old, also known as the gods. And I've always had the belief and the experience that what we call angels are actually reptilians. And the reptilians are the invaders to this time capsule that was a womb environment that caused the fall of what was called the vapor canopy. And in the womb environment, we human beings were a very different species. Since then, hybridization through food and also livestock has changed us, and it was purposeful to make us live shorter lives and have illnesses that kept us unwell and not vibrant as we used to be. It also caused us to have meat bodies. The meat bodies then produce cortisol, which is adrenochrome. They reproduced and shapeshifted, because they were more ethereal than physical, into winged beings. This being is holding a pouch. He is actually fertilizing a big flowering tree. And that is where the genetic changes happened. Now, what they needed was a food source. They were mining gold. What was the gold? Us. We were the gold. So if you think about our womb environment within this Gaia matrix as it was, we were an incredible food source, because here we were, these golden beings inside of a time capsule, basically a matrix, having been severed from home, and we were captured, okay, by these beings. Now, these beings tell us a story that creation began with this tree of life and Adam and Eve. That tree of life was sine and cosine, time and space, captured a perfect cube, which then, perfect cube is what Noah's Ark is in the Hebrew. This ark thing is a cube. Some of the hybridization that they did to create the Nephilim, which was a warrior race. So they crossbred with different species to create a powerful race. They created another type of being that was a warrior class. They were giants, the Nephilim. And these giant skeletons have been found all over. The indigenous people knew who they were, and they were carnivores that basically ate us. Their gods were Mulak, the reptile king or the lizard king. And the lizard king Mulak looked like winged dragons, called themselves angels. They said that they were from the celestial regions, and they said that they were in charge of watching over humanity, which actually means that they raped the women and created hybrids to serve them. I believe that they're still in charge. I believe that that is kind of who the blue bloods are. Homo capensis had a copper-based blood, so they actually have blue blood, and their species lives a very long time. Reptiles who needed to feed their king, Mulak, the lizard king. And so go back and research Canaan, okay? The Canaanites all did child sacrifice to this Mulak being. So they invaded. What do they look like, or how do they present themselves? They present themselves as shape-shifting humanoid angels with wings, but what they actually look like is a being with wings, and they can retract their wings because their wings are made of a different substance than kind of our meat suit. They're a very different species than we are. That was basically interdimensional rape of our little womb environment, which then, if you look at the mythology from that time, the stories changed. As an astrologer, I know the ancient stories from the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and many other books that I reference about, the stories used to be about the matriarchy, and then suddenly they changed to the patriarchy and stories of gods and war and looting and rape. And basically we were used as fodder for all of that, because the more adrenochrome that can be produced, the stronger these beings become. Something about Enoch. Adra, Enoch, Rome. Adra is the father or the king of the universe. Enoch, okay, is allegedly one of these beings who had special information from God. We're in a simulation, and the thing that is called God here is himself a demonic being. We are not in a realm of goodness. We are in a realm in which we, as the gold that the Anunnaki were mining, are used here, and we're forced to recycle ourselves again and again and again, and come back and recycle ourselves, because the Adra, Enoch, Rome, Enoch was the son of Cain, and therefore he was a blue blood, the Homo capensis line of the Canaanites. They are not part of humankind. They are, in fact, our invaders. And I believe that Noah's Ark was a perfect cube. The ark technology, what an ark is a mathematical equation. I think that's what we're inside of. We're inside of some kind of mathematical geometry that creates an arc. All of this, yes, is holographic. As I said, it's not flat and it's not a sphere. It's a holographic projection from these geometries. That gives you your first idea of what these so-called angels are. They are monsters. Remember, their God is like in a hyperbaric chamber, wishing to die, wishing to get out of here. And Metatron, key among them, was the grand geometrist that causes that flower of life that makes you reincarnate again and again and again, which is why that symbol is stamped all over Cairo, Egypt, which are bizarre, archonic things that create the simulation here. And so angels are geometrists. Your life is being controlled by those Metatronic symbols. But why are they so damn smart? Why do they have magical powers? You could actually do that too if you weren't so traumatized. This is all holographic, and we could all be physical, and then, as you know from near-death experiences, you don't need your body to be your consciousness. You are your consciousness. Soon the Nephilim receded to castles and manor houses. They built fortifications of granite, mountaintop retreats, sanctuaries of luxury and power. Although subservient gods, children were graced with divine protection. Their minds were sharp, their souls were blessed, their wills were strong. As the two races lived side by side, the Nephilim receded behind their wealth and fortifications. Human beings were left to suffer under the strains of poverty, illness, and became slaves to invisible, powerful masters. The beings were a hybrid bird and beast, part human, part monster in equal measure. Wings were mounted upon their backs, lush and red. They were shrouded in a light so intense, it covered them in a gauze of illumination. Although Gabriella had explained the Gibborim to him in great detail, he had recognized them as the same beings he'd seen on the train the night before. The Gibborim and many other classifications of these angels are here, but there are many classifications of these things, many layers of these things that we would call angels in art. But look at the bottom with all the humans with the skulls in the crypt and all these layers of alleged angels above. There's different levels of them. One of the weird ones with just the eyeballs is called the seraphim, while these alleged divine servants of God is some kind of weird demonic computer. Why do we think that these things don't exist? They do exist. They're hidden away. And they're the elite structure behind all of this. We're their food, we're their livestock, and they breed, they interbreed. They're doing experiments, and those children are yanked and used to figure out if the experiment worked, because they need to keep the atmosphere and the environment of this simulation suitable to them so they don't get sick. But we're allowed to get sick all the time. And in fact, when we start to get stronger, they will create a genetic change in our food to make us weaker. So this all ties into everything I've been studying my whole existence in this incarnation here. And I just want you to consider that these things that are called angels are actually demons. They want money, they want power, they want sex, and they get really bored with humans. They often want to marry in their own group of blue bloods. So our purpose is to get out of here. Our purpose is to realize that that's what this place is, and our purpose is to exit. That is our purpose. The astrology is very carefully chosen to make sure that you associate love with pain. Love and pain is what goes on here. That's what this simulation is. We are these golden beings of love. We are the gold that the Anunnaki is mining. The Anunnaki are called the Abenaki. The Abenaki created all these stone structures around here. And Uriel's machine was based on aligning all of these stone structures to this local galaxy's simulation of the galactic central sun. So, they basically planted us in space. The simulation is planted, it doesn't move. We're planted with these stone alignments to the galactic central sun. So I've had a very different feeling about what these stone structures are. A lot of people tell me that they pick up entities inside of them, and I do believe that that is true, in these weird caves and dolmens and cairns and stone structures that look like root cellars, but they're perfectly aligned to the galactic central sun. I think the Nephilim, or the giants that were created from the crossing of these winged reptilian beings with humans, were a warrior labor class that built all of these structures to hold the simulation right here in this galaxy, aligned, not moving. We're not moving, folks. But it's all in the script. You're being played. You're inside of a Monty Python show. You're being harvested for your love, your golden power, and your sexuality. That's what this place is. So those monsters that were created, they don't leave either, folks. They're stuck here too. Yeah, there's entities here. My advice to you is to realize what this realm is. And by realizing it, you don't have to entangle further. And if you're suffering, that is what this place is. Study it though. Please take your time to study it, because every day, every week, I come upon something else and I'm like, whoa, there's some information right there. We need to know what these things are, because these angels often meet you upon death, and they're shapeshifters, so they can appear as anything. We know that. They've been called the machine elves. They're not elves. They're holographic, but they are entities, and they are demonic. So some people have said, why do we need astrology if the sun is fake and the moon is fake? It's not fake, okay? It's holographic, but everything's holographic. If we are living in a simulation, you need astrology, because it's your map. It's either going to play you or you're going to play it. If you can do it, read your own chart. It's your map, because when you really study, you're going to be amazed. You do your mother's chart, you do your grandmother's chart, you do your children's chart, it's all there. You never met anybody, they were already planned. If we're not in a simulation, you don't need astrology. If we're not in a simulation, you don't need your astrology, because then you have free will. If we're in a simulation, you better study the map, which is in the astrology, of where the archons are located and how they're magnetically pulling your life force from you. Okay? We're connected to them. They're magnetic plasma beings. That's what those things are. And they draw on your life force. You are the gold that the Anunnaki's mining.